the vegan argument is, well, there isn't enough grass-fed beef for everyone. I'm like, yeah, that's because people don't ask for it. You ask for it, we'll turn the golf courses into basically grass-fed beef manufacturing plants. There's plenty of them out there to do that, by the way. Like, there's people who've done the math.
But it would be a smaller cow. You wouldn't have nearly as much fat, and the taste is different.
The taste is different.
Mrs. Rogan doesn't like the grass-fed beef. I try to cook the grass-fed beef. She doesn't like the taste.
Can we just say this podcast is grass-fed now by how many
totally
times the grass-fed is in it?
Yeah,
it just matters.
Correct. It's stamped.
I would eat a bowl of gravel if I could perform well on it. Like, I have no dogma about this. Like, I don't care. Like, food for me is like optimal fuel for human potential.
That's it? Not just delicious as well?
I mean, I love the deliciousness. I have a cookbook out, for God's sake.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's called The Upgraded Chef. It's like, how do you cook stuff fast to produce the least toxins so you perform better on it?
Is this so fast? Was this a long journey for you? Like,
dude. Yeah, for 15 years. I mean, I spent $250,000 upgrading myself, and I started like tracking how I felt and how I was performing, and was I gaining weight or losing weight, and did my joints hurt and all this stuff. And I came to this conclusion that you can't change just one variable and expect something to work. You got to change a lot of variables at once and then start adding things back in. Because let's say you're allergic to just like milk and wheat, which so many people are. Oh, this week I'll eat no wheat, nothing changed. This week I'll eat no dairy, nothing changed. So you assume nothing happened. The problem is there's many things that cause inflammation. At its core, the Bulletproof Diet is about reducing inflammation. And here's the secret. When you look at a food, there's 3 ways of looking at it. The first one is, does it have the right macronutrients? It's like, if I needed to eat some protein or I needed to eat some fat, is it in there? But here's the funny thing people don't think about so much. If we said, look, you need to get 200 grams of protein today, we generally say, yeah, that's good. But wait a minute. Okay, this little vial of protein is the active protein that's in black widow spider venom, and this is an egg. Okay, how many grams of protein you want to eat today? Okay, the bottom line is different proteins do different things to your body. So you got to pick the right protein in there. And then the fats. Do you want hydrogenated vegetable oil or do you want coconut oil? They're totally different on what they do to your body. So first you got to get those sorted out. And then second way you look at your food is something called anti-nutrients. And this is something that most modern nutritionists just don't pay attention to. Paleo people know about some, but not others. And what's going on there is food has a defense mechanism built in. If you're a grain, your job is to reproduce. And that means you coat yourself in pesticide to keep the bugs from eating you so you can reproduce. It's natural pesticide. It's called phytic acid. And it inhibits whatever eats you. It inhibits their ability to absorb minerals from their food. So now what I do when I look at food, does it have the right macronutrients? Does it have poison in it? If so, then I don't want to eat it. And finally, does it have a lot of other stuff like B vitamins and minerals and the other micronutrients? You get guys like this Andy guy, the aggregate nutrient index guy at Whole Foods, Furman, who, by the way, thinks kale is, basically next to God. He puts liver like at a very low number on there, yet liver has a lot more nutrients in it than kale does. The problem is he decided to divide by calories for reasons that I don't quite understand. What's going on there is a focus on micronutrients, ignoring anti-nutrients, and ignoring the function of food as fuel.
And they're also doing that because they have a pro-animal sort of an agenda.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely an agenda behind that.
There's a lot of people, like I've had conversations with people who are vegans, and they'll tell you that it's only for health purposes. And then I bring up fish oil. And most of them, they don't take fish oil.
Yeah.
And I say, well, why? If it's just for health reasons, fish oil has been shown to be very, very beneficial. But it gets squirrely. They start talking about eating flax seeds and shit.
If you're going to eat flaxseed oil oxidizes the second it sees air. Like, it's incredibly unstable. Even in Ayurvedic medicine, they tell you, flaxseed oil is a drying oil. And your body can convert that to the healthy omega-3s at a ratio of 40-1. You eat 40 grams of flax oil, you get 1 gram of the good stuff, and you got to dispose of the other 39 grams that cause inflammation in the body.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's why I don't recommend flax oil.
There's a difference between fish oil.
Yeah.
It actually counteracts that and fights inflammation,
right.
Which is why it's so great for grapplers.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu guys are always, and a lot of guys who are into CrossFit as well, into heavy doses of fish oil.
Yeah, it's an anti-inflammatory, right? It's good stuff.
Yeah.
But I tell you, if you use krill, it's going to work better because krill has the same EPA and DHA, but it's phosphorylated. It's bound to phospholipids, which means your brain can use it directly. Fish oil's got to be phosphorylated. And you need to get extra phosphatidylserine or choline to do that in your diet.
So you have to take choline supplements if you take fish oil to get the optimal effect?
Or maybe just eat eggs.
Eggs have choline?
Yeah, because here's the thing. Some of the super strong choline supplements, there's no question they have a really beneficial effect in most people. In some people, too much choline has a reverse effect. And it's probably maybe a third of people. So this is one of those things where if you get it in your food, you're good. And if the choline supplements make you feel really good, which they do for the vast majority of people, like I'm a fan of choline supplements in general. I recommend them on the blog. Like you've got that ingredient in Alpha Brain. And like, by the way, that's just a killer list of nootropic ingredients. I fully approve that. Like that's a bulletproof level supplement for sure.
Awesome, thank you.
And the thing is, though, if you're one of those choline sensitive people, you might not want a ton of choline. Like you want to limit yourself to a certain amount.
Yeah, we've had issues with that, with people getting really sensitive.
They get like jaw tension and headaches. Yeah, and those are the people who are choline dominant. But here's the kicker: you get those people to take aniracetam, like the stuff I've got on my site. Aniracetam uses up extra choline. So that's an interesting way of using a smart drug. And this is actually a drug, not a natural substance, but it's one that'll bring your choline levels down, which means you can benefit from the other stuff that's in Alpha Brain, but you also get this boost from the other type of nootropic.
How many different things do you take a day?
I take probably on an average day about 40 pills.
See, I told you I'm not crazy.
No, here's the crazy number. When I was really focused on like getting my health all the way where I wanted it, before I was all the way where I am, I did 187 pills a day for several months.
Now, what about the actual capsule itself? What are those made out of? Gelatin? Is that no big deal for your body, the process?
You actually need gelatin. Our diets are gelatin deficient right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And, we eat all the muscles in the animal, but in the old days, your mom would boil the chicken and eat all the cartilage and all that.
Yeah.
So I actually carry gelatin and collagen on the site because when people eat that stuff, their joints get healthier. And there's another thing. This whole electrical part of the body is not well known, but all those acupuncture meridian points and things like that? Well, electricity flows through your skin, not just in your nerves. And you need collagen in your skin in order to bring the water into the skin so you can carry electricity efficiently. So when you eat enough collagen in the form of gelatin, Knox blocks, whatever, I have grass-fed gelatin that I use.
Whoa.
But you do that, you function better on many levels, including on the inflammation level.
A lot of fighters are starting to take Jello, and I don't know. I noticed it in. They did this like sort of cribs thing with Minotauro Nogueira, the guy who just fought recently in UFC this past weekend, and they went to his house. He had a stack of Jello. It's like he said he had, this is making me feel good.
I mean, it works. Even for sleep, sometimes it helps.
Jello, I did not know.
The problem is industrial Jello is disgusting. Like you don't even want to know what's in there.
What is in there?
They're taking hooves and like snouts and like all these it's like the bologna of protein powder. Like
it's not good.
Well, I mean it's better than no collagen. Like I've used Knox.
What's the best made out of?
The best is made out of the skin of the animal.
The skin.
Yeah. So like that's the sort of stuff that I use typically. In fact, like next week I'll have a listing for the best kind of it. I've been exploring collagen for years. So you can take straight collagen, you can take straight gelatin, and it's just a question of basically how you want it to taste and how you want it to be absorbed into your food. But the old days we would make like soup from bones. It's too much work. So what you do now is you take a couple scoops of collagen powder and you just put it in your smoothie or put it in your soup, and you've got all the benefits of bone broth with none of the trouble. It's too much work to make all that broth.
Now, it's just a process. They just take the leather, they take the outside and turn it into...
Take the outside and they expose it to enzymes and
breaks it down.
And acid, and that breaks it down. And it's kind of a useful food. It's one of those things that we used to like fight for 100 years ago because you had to get enough of it, and it was one of the ways of using the whole animal, and now we just toss it mostly.
So in your opinion, and with all the things that you've researched, what you found is that you can't even not even like eggs is not good enough, fish is not good enough. Like you need animals, you need mammals, you need cows and shit.
Yep. At least some of the time, I absolutely believe that. I also believe, let's face it, you kill a chicken, dude, one meal to kill that animal. And chickens have the worst lives ever unless they're like super pastured, crazy, expensive chickens. So like you want to see a tortured animal. Modern chickens can't even stand up on their own because their breasts are so big. Like they're one of the most tweaked species.
Yeah, they're pretty tweaked. It's pretty fucked up
Great
when you
timing.
see one of those gigantic chicken farms and they're all stacked on top of each other. And just crapping on each other. And also...
And just crapping on each other. And also,
The way we eat has changed more in the last 50 years than in the previous 10,000. The modern supermarket has on average 47,000 products.
The industry doesn't want you to know the truth about what you're eating, because if you knew, you might not want to eat it. We've never had food companies this powerful in our history.
Everything we've done in modern agriculture is to grow it faster, fatter, bigger, cheaper.
If you could grow a chicken in 49 days, why would you want one you got to grow in 3 months?
When you go through the supermarket, there is an illusion of diversity. So much of our industrial food turns out to be rearrangements of corn.
Sometimes you look at a vegetable and say, okay, well, we can get 2 hamburgers for the same price.
They have managed to make it against the law to criticize their products.
There is an effort to make it illegal to publish a photo of any industrial food operation.
I find it incredible that the FDA wants to allow the sale of meat from cloned animals without any labeling.
Peanut butter contaminated with salmonella.
E. coli has been found in spinach, apple juice.
Smells like money to me.
The average consumer does not feel very powerful. It's the exact opposite. When we run an item past the supermarket scanner, we're voting for local or not, organic or not.
Look at the tobacco industry. The battle against tobacco is a perfect model of how an industry's irresponsible behavior can be changed.
Imagine what it would be if, as a national policy, the idea would be to have such nutritionally dense food that people actually felt better, had more energy, and weren't sick as much. You know, now see, that's a noble goal.
People have got to start demanding good, wholesome food of us, and we'll deliver, I promise you.
So I see these people, oh, I could never eat red meat. I'm like, dude, one animal will feed 2 people basically for 2 years.
Yeah.
If they're eating normal amounts of it, that's less death.
Yeah, but it's a big death. It's like nobody has a problem with killing ants. People are not like making protests in front of stores that sell Raid ant killer. They don't give a fuck about ants because they're too small. It's like we have like a thing. You could take an ant, like you find an ant on your counter, you could do it with your finger and do that, and you just flick it on the ground like it went away. You can't do that to a rat. You can't hit a rat with a hammer and then just throw it on the floor. No, you got to clean that thing up.
You can't do it with a snail. Remember when I made that snail video and everyone got pissed off at me?
You can't kill a snail. Snail's big enough. If you stomped on an ant, no one would have given a shit. But you killed a snail, and they're like, this son of a bitch.
I put a snail on a Listerine strip, and it was awesome.
The thing about cows, is that by the way, he's almost 40. The thing about cows, though, is that they're big. And an ant's tiny, and it doesn't really bug us that you can buy poison for ants anywhere. If you could sell cow poison at the store, people would freak out because you can't just kill cows like that.
But you can buy rat poison.
Yeah, they're cunts. We don't care about rats. But then there's people who have rats for pets. Like, man, there's a lot of people that actually lived off rats. And what was it? I forget, Peru, I believe, where guinea pigs are like super common.
I've eaten a guinea pig.
What's it like?
What? In Peru, I went down there to do ayahuasca with a shaman.
And they have guinea pig food?
Yeah, it's native there.
Yeah.
They are, let me see the technical term for it, fucking disgusting.
Really?
I mean, there's like no meat on them, and they stuff them with like rice and vegetables.
They don't taste good?
There's like 5 bites of meat on a whole guinea pig, and it doesn't taste very good, the bites you can get. And the rest of it's just like bones and skin. Like, it was profoundly gross.
Those people are just trying to get by.
Yeah.
That's some tough times. What I saw was this Anthony Bourdain show, and they went over this guy's house, and they had guinea pigs running around the kitchen, like constantly running. They were everywhere. And they would just pick one up, take them over, snap, kill them, gut them, and start cooking them. And all these other dumb fucks are just running around. They're like their pets, practically, until they get killed. But they have a constant, you say it's awful, but they have a constant supply of meat.
Yeah.
And your point of view from Burbank, is very different than their point of view living in Peru.
They're too adorable, though.
These houses don't even have windows, dude.
I used to have them as pets. They are kind of cute, but I guess enough. If I was hungry, I'd eat one.
You have children, and your children are hungry, you're going to eat the fuck out of some guinea pigs. And they're everywhere, dude. They have like 30 of them.
Have you had cat?
Not on purpose, but I've been to a lot of taco trucks, so I'm not sure.
Whoa, do you think taco trucks really serve?
Hell yeah.
Really?
Depends on where you are.
I have a theory. Tell me if this theory makes any sense at all. But I have a theory that things that are difficult to catch are good for you, like wild fish, wild game, things that run quick, like deer. Deer are very good for you because they run fast. They're trying to get the fuck away because they know they're delicious. They know they're like highly sought after. And then things like cows that just kind of stand around, probably not as good. Is there anything to that theory?
I don't buy it.
I don't buy it either.
Here's why.
It's not a big hummingbird market.
The things that can run really fast and sprint don't have enough fat on them. Like when the Indians would kill a buffalo, like the first thing you eat is like the big fatty hump on the back, and then
that's
the liver.
A hump. That's fat.
It's solid fat.
Is that like for storing food for them?
Yep.
Is that what it is?
In fact, if you take a real grass-fed buffalo, that fat is orange. It's actually like almost like a salmon color. And most of the buffalo you can buy, they finish it on grain because no one wants to buy orange fat. I'm like, man, give me a big old like 2-pound hunk of orange fat. Like that would be.
Oh, why could they? Most of it finishes on grain, or all of it? I mean, can you get it that finishes on? I've
asked a few like butchers at really high-end markets about that, and they're like, yeah, we one of the guys said, we tried it one time on orange, but we had to throw it out. Like, no one would buy it.
That's so ridiculous.
You could probably order it online just to get it like 100% grass finished.
I need to get that. I need to get that just to find out what it would taste like.
It's pretty delicious when you get like real fat. In fact,
bison's good, man.
Even if you take like just the fats in good quality butter versus crap butter. I've had like vegetarian friends. I'm like, come on over, let me make one of my soups for you. And it's butter, and I use the MCT oil. In fact, next week I've got my bulletproof MCT oil like on the shelves. I'm super stoked on that.
What is it?
It's a 6 times stronger extract of coconut oil. So it's 2 of the medium chains, the ones that are most responsible for losing weight and for cognitive function, where that's all that's in there and has no flavor. So you can like make mayonnaise out of it.
And how is that created? They take coconut oil and process it somehow?
It's centrifuged, yeah. So we spin it and then we pull out just those ones. And I have the only brand I've out there.
How does that work? How does that centrifuge work?
So it's basically you just spin it really fast. Same way they do like your blood tubes to separate out the plasma and the cells. When you spin it, the different weights of fat line up. So we pull out the 2 most precious ones right in the middle band there. And then we take the rest of it and we give that to other people.
That is ridiculous. And this is coming out right now?
It's like it should be on the site right now. Like you can pre-order it. I just put it up.
Is it the Bulletproof or bulletproofexec.com?
It's bulletproofexec.com.
Bulletproofexec.com. Yeah. And you have your whole story is up there of how you. So for folks that don't have the patience to go and listen to this podcast again, there's a fuckload of information on this site, as well as not just the upgraded MCT oil. You've got upgraded coffee. Everything's upgraded. Upgraded chef.
And here's what it means when it's upgraded. Like, I'm looking at the whole process of making something and how do you make that process as good as it can be. Like my background, I really am a computer hacker. Like I have studied computer science. I work in computer security. I'm not actively a hacker, like I'm an executive, but like I understand the mindset of changing a system to get the outcome you want.
Right.
It turns out like to make the coffee, the problem was actually how the beans get turned into green coffee. That's where most of the problems happen. So I learned all about all this stuff from multiple disciplines, pulled it all together and said, what if I created this new process for making coffee that didn't have the toxins in it? And you look at that, like we're about done with a study where we're getting advice from Stanford University on the cognitive function of this coffee. So we're comparing normal coffee versus this upgraded coffee to show what it does to your response time and your attention. And like we don't have enough results to be statistically significant yet. We're still recruiting people. The results I have say, yeah, it works. So it's like this is real stuff. And every step of the way, when you create a food, it tells you how the food's going to make you perform. And what I'm trying to do is help people understand, like, if for one day they can just have the best day ever where like their energy and their focus and everything is super clear and they just like feel like a great golden god. If you do that one time, you know you're capable of it and you can start working towards that. But most people I know have felt like crap without knowing it most of their life. They've never had a wonderful day. Once you have that day, you can learn how to kick more ass repeatedly. So it's like, get all the crap out of the day, just do it right for a week and just see what can happen. You look at the comments on my blog, like people, they do this. It takes like 6 weeks. It's not that hard to do. And all of a sudden, like, you have twice the energy you had before. Like, that's what I'm looking to do for people.
And when you have twice the energy, you get twice the shit done.
I tell you, I mentioned I'm a full-time executive. I wrote this book. Wiley's my publisher. Gary Taubes introduced me to my agent in New York. Like, it's a tier 1 book with 1,300 references. I started the Bulletproof Executive blog, which is in the top 25,000 blogs now. 150,000 people a month see it. And I'm a dad. I have 2 young kids, and I see them on a very regular basis. Like, for me to be able to do all this stuff, I could have never done this in my mid-20s. It's because I trained my brain, and because I got my mitochondria functioning, and I got my hormones functioning.
You looked at the body like a computer system.
Absolutely.
And are you the first guy to do that?
There aren't that many computer guys. Like, I'm 40, and the oldest computer guys are like 65, right?
Right.
So certainly we've talked for years about this, and there's the whole cyberpunk thing, which I admit I was a part of. Mirrored sunglasses and stuff like that. But I'm one of the early guys. Like, A lot of the Russian space program did a lot of this stuff. Like this is a device. This is it's an older one, but it's the only one you can get that does programming where you can pick the frequency. But I'll run a current across my brain. This is actively the same thing you do to a computer. When you do that, you can put yourself in the gamma state. That's really hard to get into. You just stick the electrodes on your head and it works.
And that puts you in a gamma state. And what's the benefit of that?
Gamma state is actually a state where the Dalai Lama just announced a cash reward for anyone who could help him get into a gamma state in less than 4 hours, because that's how long it takes him. He's looking for neuroscience ways to do it. So literally, you stick these things on your forehead.
Has the Dalai Lama tried isolation tanks?
I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me. He's pretty open with his neuroscience stuff. But you hook this thing up, you turn it on like that, and now it's running.
It sounds weird. It sounds like you're like a Frankenstein or something. What are you doing?
So
it's alive. It's alive.
So
it's grass-fed.
What I'm doing now, I'm running my brain is
systematic and grass-fed drink.
So what you do with something like that is literally like you are changing the waves in your brain like a computer.
And what is the benefit of that again? Like when you put that on, what does it actively do to you?
It depends on what setting you put it on. If I'm going to be writing like a lot, I'll put it on a gamma state, and you're just in this like focused, amazing kind of flow state. Although alpha is also something that's more recognized as a flow state. So you can control what state your brain is in. You want to get like rapid recovery during sleep. If I'm only going to sleep 2 hours, I put that on, and I put it on 1.5 hertz, which is associated with deep sleep. And when I wake up, I feel really good. I didn't get all the benefits of memory consolidation and dreaming.
Do you sell this thing?
No, you can just buy it.
Do you explain it on your website or anywhere?
Yep. Yeah, I have a top 10 brain hacks video. It's a talk I gave at South by Southwest on this.
I would love to try that. It's giving a low-level electrical signal.
Yep.
And what does that do exactly?
In fact, it's
touching the head, so it's sending electrical waves into the brain?
It's running a slight current back and forth.
Should I try this right now?
Yeah, sure.
I got one. You got me one a while ago.
Yeah, we were trying to get you to quit smoking. Yeah. It didn't work. You never used it either.
No, I used it a lot. It shocked.
Stick those things on your forehead.
Yeah, it clips to your ears, right? It was a little freaky.
Yeah, this one used to have ear clips, but I use the temple things just because they're a little easier. And this is actually like a 10-year-old device. The problem is most of the new ones have only one frequency, and this one lets you adjust the frequencies, which is helpful.
Okay, I'm putting it on my head.
And hit the power button on there, or just hand me the controls if you want. I'll power you up.
Stay posted, ladies.
All right.
All right, that feels weird.
There's a volume control right here.
It's stinging my head. It feels like there's a bee.
Turn that volume control till it doesn't sting.
And it feels like a bee who's like trying to say he's playing a game of just the tip.
There you go.
The bee's playing just the tip with a stinger. He's not quite stinging. Come on, man. Just let me get the tip in. Just let me get the tip in. Yeah. It feels interesting.
Turn it down so it doesn't hurt. That's for sure.
What is it at now? Yeah, I turned it up.
Okay.
Turned it up. Is that bad that it hurts?
No, it's not bad, but it'll still work if you just have a little tiny tingle.
Well, do you not want to get really smart? If I have to fucking suffer through a little bit of pain, I'm down.
So if you do this for 15, 20 minutes, for the next several hours, the alpha in the front half of your brain will be much higher than it was before.
Why doesn't everybody know about this? This is ridiculous.
Your iPhone could do this. I'm serious. It's not that hard.
This could be an app?
You'd have to set the iPhone up to do that. But this whole quantified self thing I do, there's a whole bunch of people looking at this stuff.
How long before the government arrests you for all this?
I didn't
create super people.
The only thing that I've invented that's like new, some of the training techniques are different. But I didn't invent cerebral electrical stimulation. The Russians did in their space program. The reason that this came about is they said it costs a lot of money to send a cosmonaut up into space. What if they didn't sleep? We could send 1/3 less cosmonauts. So they built this.
Well, I have one of those turbosonic machines. Yeah. I know that you've talked very highly of those things too. Yeah. Tell me what those do. Because somebody told me when I bought it and I forgot, but I use it all the time.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Awesome.
Those things rock. So I'll tell you flat out, if you can afford 12 or 15 grand, buy the turbosonic. I've used one for almost a year. It's the most programmable and it's the quietest. But it does the same thing that these other ones do. Any of the ones that vibrate you up and down only are going to have the same effect. There's a whole bunch of cheap ones that do a side-to-side rocking that messes up your low back. So, and also they tend to break. I've broken welds on a couple of the cheap units.
It's some sort of a sound wave, right? A speaker mechanism.
It's not really a sound wave with turbosonic, but it is a speaker mechanism. You've seen a woofer, like a heavy-duty subwoofer, and it goes doom, doom, doom,
Right.
What's going on there is they took the sound baffles off, but they left the speaker coil. So it moves you up using that really efficient way of moving that a speaker uses. So it's very precise. The one that I have that costs 10% as much to make it like within reach for the normal person, it uses a motor, so it's louder, but it has exactly the same up and down vibration that the Turbosonic would have. And there's another brand called PowerPlate out there, and they're all based on very similar principles. And that's that when you vibrate the body like that, you're triggering something called piezoelectric signals in the bone, so it increases bone density. Your muscles have to keep tensing and releasing, so you actually can build muscle on those, especially if you hold a kettlebell, you just hold it out like this, like all of a sudden 30 times a second, you're doing this, and I hate to say it, this is like the adult version of the shake weight, but it's powered and it seriously works. And the final thing you get from this has to do with lymphatic circulation in the body. So we have this whole waste elimination system called your lymph system. And the way the lymph moves is you have to move your body. And this is why people say, oh, you have to move. Movement is so important for you. Movement's important because it moves lymph. It's not because it burns calories or doesn't burn calories. That's a distraction.
Movement doesn't burn calories?
But it burns calories, but that doesn't make you lose weight. Like compared to, say, a short high-intensity interval will make you lose more weight than going for a walk that burns more calories than the high-intensity interval. It's a hormonal effect you're getting. This is like Dr. Doug McGuff's work from Body by Science. Like, there's definitely like enormous loads of research there about caloric consumption from exercise and diet, and they don't line up for weight loss. They just, in fact, I have a really good blog post about that.
Whoa.
In fact, the blog post is called "It's Not the Calories Stupid," and it was in response to a New York Times piece where they actually wrote "It's the calories stupid," even though the study that they'd written about showed it wasn't the calories. Like, different people ate the same amount of calories and gained different amounts of fat. Like, how did that happen? But on the vibration plate, you're burning energy, but you're moving all the lymphatic fluids in the body, and your microcapillaries are getting stimulated too. Like, parts of you get shaken that might not normally get circulation. So you typically feel like a burst of energy when you're done with it.
Yeah.
And you tend to slim down. Like, I noticed, like, especially if you have inflammation going on, I'm still, because of my health background, I get inflamed easy. I eat the wrong stuff, I puff up. You do that, and it helps you to dump the extra inflammation. So it's an amazing detox, plus exercise, plus general stimulation of your body all at once. Like, for 15 minutes a day, it's a total bargain just in terms of time spent, whether it's on a Turbosonic or the Bulletproof Vibe. They both achieve the same kind of goals, but I'll tell you flat out, you've got the Cadillac, or the Mercedes of them. The Turbosonic's the best made anywhere.
Yeah, I do 10 minutes of it before I work out.
Yeah.
I do a 10-minute like shakedown. Like, it really like gets,
and it feels good, doesn't it?
It feels amazing.
I love that feeling.
Yeah. It's amazing. And then when it really goes, when it's really going fast, for folks who've never tried it before, if you're anywhere near Venice, whoops, I lost one of my fucking Frankenstein lobes. If you're anywhere near Venice, the Float Lab has it. Crash is the one who sold me mine. He's the fucking mad scientist, ladies and gentlemen. They're giving me an updated tank, ladies and gentlemen. There's a new tank that Crash has created. It's even better. He's a mad scientist. He's a crazy man. But he runs the Float Lab, the best isolation tanks, bar none, in the world.
I might get one. I'm looking at
one. How the fuck do you not have one?
I've been looking at building one, but I'm because I moved up to BC a couple of years ago. I'm looking to buy a ranch. So as soon as I get the ranch, I'm getting a good tank. But I don't want to move it into the place where I'm living now.
You should have it right now. Crash will set it up and do everything for you. You should have one right now, especially you. How many times have you used one?
I've used a float tank once, like 10 years ago.
How dare you, sir? Hooking up these fucking electrodes to your brain. You're not even taking advantage of one of the craziest pieces of machinery.
I love it. It's a huge thing.
But you only did it once.
I only did it once. It's a question of where you live, right? If there's not a float tank near you, then yeah, it's on my list.
Not for me, it wasn't. I did it once, and I was looking to buy a house, and one of the prerequisites for buying the house was having a room for the tank.
Yep, the house I'm looking to buy right now, same thing. It's got to have space.
I have to have space for a pool table. I have to have space for the tank. That's non-negotiable. Everything else, I can lift weights at a gym, but I need a tank in the house. It's hard to find a tank, if you don't live near Venice. The tank, for me, is something that anyone who's thinking about improving must have. For creativity, it's a fascinating tool. For self-introspective thinking, and it's amazing.
In fact, It's one of those technologies, and there's a whole bunch of them out there that allows the prefrontal cortex, like the human part of your brain that you think of as you, to become aware of that really fast reptilian brain that runs circles around you. Like you can't even see it happening until you get rid of all the noise.
Right.
And when you get into that flow tank, all of a sudden, like you do that personal exploration, you can do amazing things there.
You can do amazing things, and you learn amazing things out about yourself. You start making these drastic improvements in the way you look at things in there, because it's so self-analytical. It's so self-observational.
Yeah.
When you're in there, you don't have anything going on with your body, so you're just alone with your thoughts, and you have to address them. You can't get confused and separated with busy work. You're not gonna. Yep. Within 20 minutes, anything that's really fucking with you will come to the surface.
Have you ever played with neurofeedback?
What is that?
This is when you hook electrodes up to your head and you get the signal from your brain. Oh, this is profound stuff. It's on par with a float tank. In fact, I've had my own EEG since 1998.
Whoa.
Like at home, because it's that impactful. And what you do there is your brain, it's unable to see itself. Like your brain can see the whole world around you, but it doesn't have nerves inside itself. That's why, like, you see brain surgery, they can take the top off your head and like poke at your brain and it doesn't hurt. There's no nerves in there. There's nerves in your arm. Like you cut your arm, then what's going to happen is, well, there's nerves there, and the arm heals relatively quickly. We get these traumatic brain injuries, they don't heal very well because the brain doesn't even know it's broken. So it's incredibly good at the world and incredibly bad at itself.
Wow.
So what you do is you get the signal from the brain, you play it through an amplifier, it turns it into music, and it plays the music back to you. And when you think about something, the music gets louder. When you think about something else, the music gets quieter. So you can teach the brain to think in a new way. So I've done extensive neurofeedback training, and literally 7 days was the equivalent of 40 years of daily Zen practice. This was really, really hardcore, intense 7 days. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. It cost me $20,000, and I was hooked up to like an $11 million EEG machine for at least half that time. But I mean, you want introspection. When you look at when you hear a sound, your brain can't help but optimize itself. Like it tells you when you're doing it wrong. You think of like the meditation path that people are on. They're like, oh, I meditate this way. Oh, I did it wrong for 5 years. Sorry. And then they do it over here and they sort of meander. And then, their teachers tell them, try meditating this way. Well, what if there was a computer and it lit up the path? So like on either side of the path, there's like, the sounds get quiet on either side of the path. All of a sudden you can do meditative type of things to yourself that would take you years of focused practice. You can do it in days. And because synaptogenesis, this part of the brain that makes new synapses, happens within like 20 days, you can totally rewire your head in short amounts of time, like unbelievably short.
So you rewire your head by use of electrical frequencies, so you can literally program it to do exactly what you want it to do.
Right, but we're not putting the frequencies into the head. All we're doing is we're using them like a mirror, because the brain doesn't have any nerves inside itself. The brain will, on its own, figure out, oh my God, that sound, that's me. And it'll start doing things to like adjust how it works. Like for things like ADD, people who've like been hit on the head, these guys, they get improved very dramatically. But the kind I did is correlated with a 12 IQ point boost that's stable a year later and like 50% more creativity.
What?
Wow, that's amazing.
Wait a minute. What do we have to do? How do I get in on this?
I will. I'll hook you up with a guy who does it. He runs a private facility up in Canada, Germany. It takes 7 full days and takes $15,000 plus travel expenses.
Sounds like I'm getting robbed.
Is it behind a 7-Eleven in the alley?
This is nonsense.
The guy is an he's an ex-faculty member from UCSF.
Yeah.
He's been doing this for 35 years and runs a private facility. By the way, you are getting robbed. This should be available on every street corner, and it should be in every school, and it should cost about $300. It would transform society. The fact that it's $15,000 pisses me off every day, which is why I'm not telling you his name right now, because it would shut his website down anyway. But
yeah, we will crush your website, son. That sounds like, really, for 7 days, though, it actually doesn't sound like a ripoff. If it turns you into a super genius, it sounds like a bargain. It does.
It was, I mean, I'd already done a lot of work on myself, but I came out of there, and like that voice in your head, that thing that gets in your way, like, it's your bitch when you're done. Like
what? So you can go there, and it just completely rewires your brain in 7 days.
It is hard work. Don't get me wrong.
What do you have to do? What is the hard work?
You sit there in a dark room with a speaker on either side of your head and 8 electrodes glued to your head, and then you do whatever you have to do to make the sound louder and make your score go higher. And the first 3 days, you just like your brain just doing its thing, and then after that, you have to dig in on like your most in like it's just like in a float tank.
My ultimate fantasy would be that I go there and I'm like super gifted at this, and I break the whole building.
Oh yeah,
with sound.
right.
Whoa.
Yeah, we're getting to that point.
Joe,
I mean,
do this. I want you to do this. I think
Dude,
it's a good
Joe,
idea.
I'll do it with you. I've actually been thinking about going back.
Really?
So, yeah.
Can you lay on top of each other?
Wait a minute, can you get super? What if you're like a fucking intellectual vampire and I get dumber and you get smarter?
What if he hacks you? That's what he's trying to do.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Joe, I'd like to remind you, you've got my electrodes on your forehead right now. It's already been done.
Oh, see,
I'm
I
not
knew
susceptible to this shit, son. You're gonna need something a little stronger for this fat head.
What is this thing? I think I saw it on your Twitter about you paying to get hacked. What was that all about?
Paying for what?
Maybe hold on. Never mind.
You mean biohacking? How much he spent biohacking?
Oh, the $250,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So over the past 15 years, I've spent $250,000 on everything I can think of that improves human performance. I'm just going to do it. So 20 grand. Actually, I did it a couple times. So 20 grand and 25 grand, whatever there. I've taken ungodly numbers of supplements and smart drugs. I've tried all kinds of electronics. Like I have like a whole mad biohacker laboratory at home. Like I've got my vibrating plate. I've got an ozone generator. I've got a couple different EEG machines.
I have an ozone generator in my tank setup because
Nice.
Crash uses it to purify the water.
That's the best way to purify water.
Powerful Crash.
Are you sponsored by Grass to pay for all this? I mean,
Sponsored by Grass.
Like Scott Industries or something?
It's actually BC Bud sponsored.
Have you ever looked into eating cannabis?
As a food?
Yeah.
I've looked at eating hemp. Not you mean eating hemp?
No,
or
actually,
eating cannabis?
Cannabis is when you don't cook it. It's not psychoactive. But
Oh,
when
yeah.
you eat it, the psychoactive plant
Interesting.
of cannabis, if you eat it, does not make you high. But it's incredibly healthy.
Oh, interesting.
Super beneficial. Yeah. It's supposed to be.
I've never tried it, but it sounds kind of cool.
It's supposed to be really great to juice as well.
Interesting. That's really cool.
Well, if it was legal, it'd be so easy and cheap to grow that you could literally eat it that way for health, smoke it, do whatever you want.
Wow.
It wouldn't be such a... The reason why it's such a commodity is because it's illegal. It
it's
grows
ridiculous.
everywhere. You could throw seeds out the window. I mean, it's famous. People have been driving their car, they throw joints out the window, they drive by 6 months later, there's a fucking giant bush of marijuana growing there. I mean, it really is a super hardy plant.
And like the protein in there is really high in IgG. It's great protein. It's a bit high in the omega-6 fats if it's all you're going to eat. But certainly you eat some of it, it's fine. But if you get those protein, it's in fact, I would say it's the best plant source protein that I know of.
Yeah,
if you're going to eat a plant source
it's
protein.
very digestible too.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part of it. It's one of the few things, hemp with coconut juice and coconut oil. But I use it with C2O, baby, C2O coconut juice because it is my favorite. If I can't get raw, raw is
awesome.
Raw is tough to fuck with. If you can get raw, but it only lasts for like a little while.
It's the best.
You can't really keep it in the fridge like you can. But that hemp stuff. Hemp force protein powder, the stuff that I use, you could take it and go to the gym an hour later. It's the only thing that I could do jiu-jitsu an hour later because it's so easy for the body to digest. It's just not taxing at all. The stuff we use too is the most expensive because it has the highest ratio of protein to like some of them are more coarse. Some of the hearts are more coarse. They don't have as high a ratio of protein.
That's what you want to do.
Yeah. It's really super easily digestible, but illegal to grow. But not illegal to have or sell.
So like, thank you, Canada, right?
Yeah. Well, thank you, the United States, for fucking saying that it's illegal to grow a plant. You dunces. It's just such... we at On It, we could have had a farm. We were thinking about, like, Vermont. We looked into Vermont because Vermont passed laws. But the federal government has clearly said we will lock you in jail if you try to grow this plant.
Here's how to get past all this. I just figured it out.
Uh-oh.
Monsanto needs to make genetically modified pot, and then it'll be legal to grow everywhere.
Listen, but then they'll probably fuck with the pot, and the pot turns you into a Nazi.
Turn you into an octopus or something.
Yeah, it's going to do something to you. It's going to ruin you.
I hope they don't do that, in case anyone there is listening.
Yeah, please, Monsanto, leave weed alone. Concentrate on sweet potatoes or whatever the fuck you're doing. It's this scary-ass company, man. Somebody needs to get those people some mushrooms.
Amen.
Get those people some mushrooms and understand the impact of your decisions just to put ones and zeros.
There's some serious therapeutic value to medicinal mushrooms.
Oh, fuck yeah, there are. That's Johns Hopkins University showed significant improvements in people's personalities years later.
So the several clinical studies at Johns Hopkins universities have shown that the use of these mushrooms in a clinical setting has been very helpful for people facing end-of-life issues, dying from cancer, for instance, helping people with obsessive compulsive syndrome, even smoking cigarettes, with soldiers coming back from Afghanistan and Iraq who have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and helping people also be better citizens within their communities. And so the retroactive studies, 14 months later, when they interviewed their employers, their family, and their close associates, they said, yeah, there's been a basic change in these people's personality for the better. They're easier to get along with, they're more empathic, they're more sympathetic, they're more helpful, they're less angry. Well, that's benefit society. So there has been a major, major shift, and the FDA has approved these studies, and the medical evidence is increasing that these experiences can be profoundly positive in your life. They have been in my life. And now the FDA is looking at scheduling this as a Schedule II drug, which means that it has a medical purpose. And so psychotherapeutically, you can see the Defense Department, how long do you want to take care of these soldiers with all their issues for decades into the future, or can you help resolve the majority of this with one experience in one day? You know, with then follow-up studies. So that research, I encourage anybody to look it up, at Johns Hopkins Medical School by Dr. Roland Griffith, and it's very interesting and profound that these mushrooms now are being looked upon for therapeutic purposes with a really strong case, multiple clinical studies, majority of patients, and even the patients that did not have a good experience, the negativity did not extend beyond the experience itself. So after 4 or 6 hours, they're done with it. But the positive benefits extended for more than a year to 2 years out, which means the residual positive effects were substantial and long-lived, whereas the negative effects for the few individuals that had negative effects were short-lived and did not carry on further.
Are you feeling anything from the electrodes?
I don't know. Yeah. You know, it's hard to say. I don't feel bad.
It can be pretty subtle, and just see if you're in the zone a little more for the next few hours after this.
Yeah, I think it feels cool. I like it. I like the fact that I think it does something for me. But this other thing, this fucking 7-day jammy, that sounds. How many hours a day?
Pretty much most of them. Like you, when you get there, you check in your watch and your cell phone, and you just do it until you're done. You don't even pay attention to the time. It's just time goes away, and all.
How many people have done this?
10,000.
10,000 people have done this, and they've all reported similar results?
U.S. Army Special Forces had this guy train them for 7 months straight.
So it's like a Jason Bourne type thing. Really? So there's a way you can go and you sit down in this fucking place for 7 days, and there's a permanent change in your IQ and your creativity.
Yep.
Let's start a Kickstarter for you, Joe. We're going to make a movie about this.
Damn it. Son of a bitch. I don't need that, man.
Joe, I'm telling you, man. For you talk about ADD. Just like kind of having your brain that's a comedian brain that's all over the place.
Yeah.
You don't lose any of that creativity, but it becomes malleable for you. Like my performance, I did this in 2008 or 2007. I think 2000. No, anyway, mid 2000s. And I don't know. I came back. I drive fast. I've always driven fast. I'm a very safe driver. But when someone in a Prius cuts me off, it pisses me off, right? And it's always the Priuses that cut you off. So you son of a bitch. And when I'm done with this, I came back. I'm like, oh, someone in a Prius cut me off. But zero emotional cost. All the energy that I used to waste on getting pissed off about stuff that didn't matter,
right,
completely went back to productivity and just kicking more ass. It's amazing what happens when you just teach your brain that you're the boss, and you tell the little reptile brain in there to shut the hell up and to do its job to keep you from burning yourself to death or falling off a cliff, but to not be freaking you out the rest of the time for no reason.
Is it possible to do that without sitting in a room for 7 days getting blasted with sounds?
You can do...
Give me some sounds, Brian. Give me a feel, like a simulation of what you think this could be like.
There you go.
Something like that?
It's kind of like that.
And then you try to make it louder?
Except it's more like an orchestra or like a stringed instrument kind of thing, or a synthesizer. Yeah. It's not binaural beats. They're not putting anything into your head. It's all you controlling your head. All they're doing is playing back to you, so you can it's like if you had a real-time readout on your iPhone right here. It's like, here's what my brain's doing right now, right? Then you could look at it and be like, oh, my brain's getting bigger, it's getting smaller, I'm getting happier. It's like that, but it's coaching you to move in the right direction, so your brain will be in the same state of someone who spent 40 years doing Zen meditation.
I had an experience once when I was on a psychedelic, and where I started thinking negative thoughts, and the imagery that I was seeing got dark, like black and green, and started folding into itself, and it looked bad. It looked like rot, like something was going. And then I realized it, and I forced myself to relax and let go and think positive, and then it all. Boom! It blossomed in front of me like this incredibly beautiful geometric flower just blossomed out of it, and it was like a lesson to me of the actual power of thinking. That if you do think negative, it's not if you think negative and do nothing, nothing goes wrong. No, if you think negative, you're getting negative energy in your life. There's no doubt about it.
There's a cost to you.
Yes, that thought process, the concentration on anything that's negative, is not good for you. It's just bad. Period. And I could see it in a beautiful geometric form. It's very strange, but profound. It taught me something that I took from that day and slowly applied to my life.
When people realize the effect of their negative emotions, like if I was sitting here right now and I was thinking, this Joe guy's a total prick. I'm just glad I'm here. Or even if I was acting all nice, but I was thinking really negative things about you. Like, it would cost me more than to sit here and be like, this is fucking cool stuff to be talking about. Yeah. Right? Or to sit here and just be really thinking nothing and going through the motions.
You would feel it too. Have you ever done an interview with someone and they were like kind of douchey and you felt this weird feeling, or where they weren't trying to be nice to you?
It's not authentic, even if they're trying their best, right? We all pick that up. Like, we all know it, but then the scientific part of our brain that likes to ignore the brainstem altogether gets all pissed off. And like, we try to pretend like, oh, it's just me, but it's not. And here's the thing, we can measure this in your body, your heart rate variability. Like, people who think negative thoughts, their heart rate variability is low. People who think positive thoughts, it goes up. And you can actually exercise those thoughts with a $200 little device, the M-Wave 2.
And it's also the way you think about life. It sets patterns, and these choices sort of set these patterns that are easier to follow the next time, and it becomes something that's sort of a path that you ordinarily go on. And if you can figure out how to get that to a positive, you will benefit.
In fact, you know what this is? You can lift muscles and work on your bicep, right? Well, you can do the same thing to your brain. And it takes about 20 days of doing something every day for new synapses to form. And when you do that, you can work on the synapses for compassion or forgiveness or just calmness and being in the zone, or you can work on ones for being pissed off and cranky, right? And like, wherever you put that energy, those muscles get stronger. So you want a bigger amygdala, be pissed off all the time. Your amygdala
is the amygdala bad?
It's not necessarily bad, but if it's overactive, it makes you pissy and cranky all the time.
I bet Joey Diaz is fucking huge. I bet his amygdala is like his balls. I bet it's just completely oversized.
That's a serious Twitter right there. His amygdala is like his balls.
Oversized, ready to explode. Joey will get mad if you have the wrong fucking salad dressing on a table.
Yeah.
He'll kill you. He'll kill you. If you try to give him ranch dressing with wings, he'll fucking kill you.
And it's one of those things where, like, your brain's a muscle, you work it out. What I found is using electronics like that, you can work out just the right parts. The heart rate variability, when you do that, you work out alpha in the front of the brain, and you live longer, you perform better. You've got all kinds of sports athletes now using heart rate variability to look at overtraining states. If you're overtrained, your body gets weaker. But here's the weird thing as a coach, like, who uses this with my clients. I hook them up to the M-Wave. It's a little clip on their ear. It just looks at the space between their heartbeats. And I tell them, make the light turn green on this little machine. And they're like, how do I do it? So breathe in and breathe out. It's pretty easy. 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. It turns green. Great, you got that. Let's turn up the next one. And I say, now you got to focus on your heart. Okay, this is ridiculous. I'm not like that much of a hippie. Focus on your heart and breathe into your heart. And like, really? I'm like, yeah, just do it. Okay, and light doesn't exactly turn green. I'm like, great. Breathe in through your heart. Now think about puppies. And the damn light turns green. Okay, I don't like it that the light turns green, but they have to think of something that makes them go, aw, like their firstborn, the way their mom hugs them, whatever it is. When you consciously bring that thought in and that feeling in, it changes the way your heart beats, and you can see it on a little green light. There's no question about the fact that it changed your physiology when you changed what you were thinking about. You can see it, and that shows you how much power your thinking has over your physical body. And when you do that, and you do that regularly for about 6 weeks, 10 minutes a day, you build the synapses for being happy, because that's what you're teaching yourself to consciously do. And when you're done, you can walk into a meeting where there's some asshole yelling at you, and you realize you're starting to get stressed and you want to kill the guy, and you're like, I'm just going to turn on happy. You still care that he's yelling at you. You're still going to do what you're going to do, but you're totally in control instead of like the party that's like, I gotta kill this guy now.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm gonna kill the guy at just the right time.
Like when someone's talking in a movie theater and just grinds at you.
Yes.
You're just ready to fucking kill them.
Yes.
Dude, you dropped some serious science on this podcast today. I don't know if there's ever been a podcast where I know I have to go back over it with a notepad. I've got about 50 different things that I need to look into now. This has been really crazy. Thank you very much.
It's been fun, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Fucking incredibly fascinating guy. And go to bulletproofexec.com, folks, and all of Dave's stuff is up there. All the different articles, all his different products, the upgraded coffee, the upgraded chef book he wrote, and the whey protein that's made with grass-fed beef, and all this, and the upgraded MCT oil that is just coming out now. And if they want to follow you on Twitter, it's Bulletproof Exec on Twitter. Dude, you got to do this again, man.
Anytime, Joe.
This is amazing. This is really amazing. By the way, Mac Danzig wants to debate people that say he does. He said that he, as a vegan, he wants to debate people from a health point of view. But I think he might get trounced.
I told him to bring it on Twitter.
Yeah,
so it'd be cool.
I love Mac, but he might be out of his league.
I've converted about 3 dozen vegans back to eating meat at least some of the time.
Well, Mac's a real noble guy.
Yeah.
He really is. Legitimate. He's the real deal. And I think his issue is with factory farming. You know, my issue with the people that say you shouldn't kill animals is, guess what? There's a responsibility at the top of the food chain, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to have to either castrate all the males. You're going to have to control population somehow. You have to pin them up. You're going to have to do something because you can't just have no predators.
Yeah.
And if you do have all these game animals wandering around like deer and cows, and if there's a giant surplus of them because no one's eating them anymore, you're going to have predators.
They're going to eat your vegetables, too.
Yeah. They're going to eat your vegetables. They're going to die of starvation. I mean, what are we going to do? We don't live forever if you don't eat them, ladies and gentlemen. I agree that factory farming is disgusting and horrible and horrific, but cows don't live forever, and they're delicious. And there's a reason why they taste so good. This is because something has to fucking die for something to taste that good. You don't get that from beets, okay? You don't get that from celery. Although I do love celery, and I do love Kale Shakes. And if you go to onnit.com, ONNIT, the Blendtec blender. What we did is I talk about the Kale Shakes that I drink every morning so often on the podcast that I have all these people taking them. And they're like, what's the best blender? For the years I was using a Vitamix, which is awesome. If you can get one of those are awesome too. But it turns out the Blendtec is supposed to be the best.
Will it blend? That is the question. I had a bad day on the links yesterday. These are bad balls. I had a tough time slicing, so I'm going to slice some balls. Sliced golf balls. Sliced and diced golf balls.
That's what everybody says.
Are they cheaper than the Vitamix or about the same?
You're dead
About
on.
the same. They're the best.
I've been using a Blendtec for a long time, and if you're going to make bulletproof coffee the right way, you want a Blendtec.
Yeah.
Like, so they should go to your site. They should buy a Blendtec because you get like the creamiest foam in a real blender like that. Like, you cannot beat that blender. Great choice.
Okay, there you go. Dave Asprey approved, boo. Onnit.com, ONNIT. If you use the code name Rogan, you will save 10% off any and all of the supplements, but that does not go with like battle ropes and kettlebells and all that shit. We sell all that stuff as cheap as we can, and it's all the highest quality kettlebells, the highest quality battle ropes, and of course the Hemp Force protein powder, which will not make you test positive for THC. Thank you also to Ting.com for sponsoring this podcast. Go to rogan.ting.com, sign up, and you will save $50 off of a cell phone purchase. And they have really top-of-the-line Android cell phones, including the Samsung Galaxy S3, which is the one I've been using.
Which is grass-fed also.
It's grass-fed. Totally grass-fed and organic and systematic. And it's the best fucking screen I've ever had on a cell phone. It's so hard to even even go back to an iPhone and try to go online with it. I love it.
Send me one, Ting.
Again, yeah, Ting. Hook it up with Brian Redband, please.
I need to play with it.
It's a beautiful. The service Ting is a beautiful company. What I like about it is what they do is they use the Sprint backbone. It's a real legit major provider that has coverage everywhere, but they give it to you with no contracts. You can quit anytime you want. Your minutes roll over into the next, or you get credited. Like say if you get X amount of minutes and you only use half of those, well they credit you on the next month. You pay less. Like it's a super fair company, and of course it's Sprint, so it's solid service. They have no contracts. You and your wife or your friend, you could get a contract together, and you could both share minutes. I mean, it's like as nice as you can make a company that's selling you cell phone service. This guy's mad. He fucking hates Ting. I don't know what your deal is, pal. Sure. You need to back off. Oh, I also, for my boy John Rollo, my friend, if you're anywhere near Baltimore, Maryland, on Saturday, October 20th, this Saturday, my friend John Rollo is running something called Shogun Fights. And he's got Frankie Lester versus Calabar as the main event. There's 11 total fights. Renzo Gracie's going to be there. Donald Cowboy Cerrone's going to be there. And Big Dan Mergliata is going to be one of the refs, who's a great guy and a very good ref as well. And there's usually about 5,000 people at these events. So if you want to get tickets, you got to jump on that shit. They're really fun to watch. If you've never been to like a regional show, a lot of the guys you see in these shows like Shogun Fights are guys you will see one day in the UFC. That's absolutely their goal. And there's going to be a lot of talented fighters on this card. And it's a really good opportunity to see fights live and to catch people like early in their career that, who knows, you might see somebody from this card, they might win a title one day. I mean, it's very possible. There's some really high-level talent, and John Rollo is a good buddy of mine, and he's one of Renzo Gracie's black belts, so he's a very good judge of a talent, and this is his promotion. So for my boy John Rollo, go check out Shogun Fights, ladies and gentlemen, shogunfights.com. Thank you to everybody that listens to this podcast. Thanks to all the cool messages that I get on Twitter. Thanks to all the cool people that I run into out there in the field, in the wilds of the world. And
can I mention we just put on a date in Ohio on sale for the Death Squad tour with me and Tom Segura.
Tom Segura now.
And yeah, Doug Benson's going to be in the Columbus show, but it's at deathsquad.tv.
Deathsquad.tv is also where you can get Brian's Funky Cat t-shirts. Dose of them available. You still have some of the original ones, right?
Only the triple fat sizes.
Oh, you fat fucks. Go out there and buy them if you're a big fatty. Or get some MCT oil in your life, son, and get on with the new program. Deathsquad.tv is that, and Higher Primate, of course, my t-shirt line, which is updated. We got all new ones. I'm hiring some people and shit, so I'm trying not to run out of shirts anymore. I really appreciate everybody buying them though. Higher-primate.com. New designs coming. My man Mike Maxwell made some dope ones. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow on the podcast we have David Seaman. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. And David is also bringing with him a reporter from RT, and she is going to break down some more reasons why the government should be listening in on this show. And her name is Abby Martin. She seems very cool, and she's going to come in with David tomorrow. And then Wednesday we got who else? Oh, Victor Conti is on Wednesday, and that should be fascinating. He's the guy from the Balco scandal, where they were all taking the steroid that was undetectable, Jesus. And he's going to break down performance-enhancing drugs in professional sports, and he's going to explain to us what the fuck is going on, you dirty bitches.
You need to start selling us bulletproof jackets, I think.
Nice. And with that fucking zinger, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, everybody. You guys are the shit. We love you, and we'll see you soon. Bye. It's Joe Rogan.